Hi, welcome to the zoo, and we're your hosts, Caitlin.
And Josh Zaniga. So today we have some really cool guests on that I'm excited to get to know better. We have Brad and Yassah. I know Brad because he and I have been in the same industry for a very, very long time. In fact, he's been in it longer than most people because most people do sales, I would say maybe 3 years, two to 3 years. But Brad, how long were you in pest control sales for?
I did five summers of pest control and then 6 summers of sales total.
Wow.
That's pretty intense, man. That's a hardcore lifestyle to live as like a newly married couple. Like how I learned about you guys was from I can't remember the name of the page. The sales couple?
Sales couple, yeah.
Dude, I thought it was so cool. I thought it was so cool that you guys both sold together because you kind of have to I don't know. I have so much respect for girls that even try it, and especially ones that stick it out all the way through because it is not easy. And I do think that in some ways it can be harder for girls because people may not take you as seriously, especially because pest control is kind of a male-dominated industry as a whole. So, Brad, why don't you explain a little bit about what a throwdown is?
So a throwdown is a competition in sales. Usually it's either like a one-on-one or a team versus team, and the losing side has a punishment. And I know there's a lot of people out there that do like actual physical punishments, like throwing eggs at people's backs or slapping them or all this stuff. But we wanted to be more creative and find something that we could all laugh about. And so in this particular case, in the video that you're talking about, the punishment was the loser had to run a mile in a costume of the winner's choice.
Oh, wow.
And what the winner chose in this scenario was a prison jumpsuit. Mm-hmm. And so with like fake handcuffs and stuff too. So
were they actually cuffed?
he had the handcuffs on.
Oh,
Yeah,
dang, that's
did.
intense.
Yeah, in the orange jumpsuit, and he had to run a mile down a busy road, just with tons of cars and stuff.
So was it against you and he had lost, or was this a total different?
It was two different guys,
okay.
But we all came up with the costume kind of together.
So was that on your page that you guys had, the sales couple that he's talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
that's
posted
awesome.
that video there. I had actually completely forgot about that.
So did you guys sell for the same company?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
For how many years?
We actually met doing sales working for Vivint.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we were both being recruited at the same time.
I was doing something totally different.
Oh, okay. What were you doing
I guess
before
not
that?
totally different. I was just working at Tricked Out Accessories in the mall.
Oh, nice.
At Orem Mall. So
she was in sales.
yeah.
So did they find you at work and talk to you, or no?
No.
To recruit you?
The guy, he knows this guy because he's from Idaho, and this guy, we both knew this guy, and he knew him from you guys grew up together. Or something like that?
We grew up down the street.
And I met Mark through something else, and he was one that introduced me to kind of convinced me to do sales.
Okay.
And I've never really, my only experience that I've had was selling phone cases and then upselling people with
For
that.
other things. Yeah. Okay.
So that was really about it. So it was very nerve-wracking.
Yeah. So he recruited us at the same time. So we kind of did trainings and stuff here in Utah. Then we went out to Atlanta and sold security systems.
So did you date that summer, or was it afterwards?
Yeah. It
Okay.
was during that summer.
Well,
Okay.
It wasn't that
Let's hear the story. Let's hear
the story. Yeah.
So the whole time, when I first met him, he had a crush on me the whole time. Okay. And I had no idea.
Oh, really?
I just have a lot of guy friends, and I'm very just a very bubbly, friendly person.
Yeah.
And him and the guys kind of had this plan, on our road trip across the country. At first, I'm in the car driving with two other girls, because there was only 3 girls in the team, and the rest were guys. So I'm driving with the girls, and we get to Colorado, and all of a sudden, Mark goes, "I think we should switch car groups," just randomly. And the only person he switched out was me.
You're like,
and
this
he's
is
like,
kind of
Yassah,
obvious.
you're going with Brad. And I'm like, why? And I'm so sad.
Dude, he was a homie hookup.
Oh, yeah.
That was a homie hookup.
For sure.
I was so sad. I was like, wait, why am I the only one switching? Like,
You're just special. You're like, what's going on?
and then I'm like, okay, I'll go with him. And he goes, well, Brad's the only one driving and we don't want him to fall asleep. So we need somebody there, like,
That's
with
a
him.
talk to
plausible
him.
enough
Yeah.
reason.
Makes sense.
Somebody to keep him awake. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I end up driving with him. And I feel like that's when I really got to know him, was like, you know, because you get to really know somebody when you're on a long road trip together.
That is a long drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was really funny. But I will say this, going back before our trip, like before we like went to Atlanta, we went to Salt Lake to get our licenses. Oh my God. And I was actually dating somebody at the time. And that was
There
the
you go,
first time I
man.
met Brad. Mark had asked me to drive Brad back to his apartment because it was on the way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, sure. And then we walk out. Brad's like, oh, are you hungry? And I'm like, yeah, I'm hungry. There was like a taco stand. And then we're in line. And these guys behind us, they had like a dance studio. Like, oh, like we were just chatting. I talked to everybody. And I was just like chatting and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, you guys should come to our dance studio. Like we do like couples too. And then he goes, are you guys, what did he say?
He said, "Are you dating?" Or
He said, is this your girlfriend?
Yeah, that's right.
And then at the same time as I'm like saying like, no, Brad says not yet. And I'm dating somebody.
There you go.
I love the
And I'm
confidence,
just like,
though. That's
what the
awesome.
heck? I'm like, I don't even know you. That was the very first time.
Manifesting.
I've never I literally just met him and I was dating another guy
Wow.
and he said that. And I just was like so thrown off. But I was like, that's
Did you
very
break
cute.
up with a guy before the summer?
Yeah.
There you go, dude. So you saw your chance, man, and you were like,
Took the opportunity.
you're like, guys, I need to drive with this girl, get to know her.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say, after we had gone a stretch, we had driven through a few states, and then, you know, we all had a pit stop, and it was like, hey, should we switch around? She came up to me and she's like, I don't want to switch. I want to make sure I'm staying with you.
Oh, so you left an impression. She's like, oh, I like this switch up actually.
Yeah.
He was, like,
so
funny.
she stayed with me the whole rest of the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
how quickly did like romance begin during the summer? It seems like he had a goal the whole time. Maybe you didn't notice it immediately, but like, when did you start picking up on the clues that he was pretty interested? Because it seems like maybe you had like a slight idea beforehand.
I felt like I really started picking up on it more so when we were driving, like on our drive.
Yeah.
More and more. And then when we got there, he started his actions. He started doing like super nice things. And like one time I was like sick and I couldn't go out knocking. And he surprised me and he got me like a drink, treats, and
That's
a
nice.
cute little note. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Like, that's so nice. He was just like super sweet and like.
I think about like a month into the summer, we started like actually going on dates, and then
And he asked, and then he asked.
yeah,
me out.
midway through the
At
summer.
Olive Garden.
Yeah, at Olive Garden. I asked her to be my
He
girlfriend.
wrote a note.
Olive Garden is the
Dude,
best.
who can say no when they're eating those breadsticks?
Exactly.
Right?
Truly,
setting.
truly.
He wrote a note and it said like, "Will you be my girlfriend?" Yeah, like yeah.
Smile if yes.
Do a backflip if no.
There you go.
That's hilarious.
I like it.
Oh my gosh. And the rest is history. You just kept hanging out after that,
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did this summer go? Did you sell Yassah more like another summer, or did you only sell that one summer?
I sold more because sold like a total of like what, 4?
Let's see. So we did security together, and then we did 2 summers of pest control together.
And at that point, were you married too? Like when you did pest control, or was it later? Okay.
So yeah, the following summer after security, we got married, and then that was also the same year of COVID, so 2020.
So you guys got married in 2020?
Yeah.
So the same as us.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
When did you guys?
So
get
we got married October. So it was a little bit after, sort of, but still kind of felt like, I don't know. What about you guys?
We were supposed to get married in April, and then everything was shutting down, so we pushed it up a few weeks just with just our immediate family.
Yeah.
So we got married end of March, and then immediately went out and did sales like right
Wow.
after. So kind of just took the money that we had from like people sending wedding gifts and like wedding cash,
Right.
and that's pretty much all we had at that point.
So how long did you guys date and get married? Like, what was the timeline? Was it pretty
A
quick?
year?
Yeah, fairly quick. It was about a year all.
I feel like that's
total.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
For Utah, yeah.
standards, that's pretty solid.
How old were you guys when you got married?
Was I 24?
I think I was 23.
Okay, so you're
I'm
a little
older
bit
than him. I'm a
younger.
cougar,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
That's funny.
Same with
Yeah,
us. By a couple
I'm like
months.
barely older than Josh, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I feel like ours was about a year too. I think we were engaged for like 7 months or something. But with us, it was like when you know, you know. And also at our age, we were like, we just gotta send it. So I don't know. I was happy to not wait a super long time. But
Are you from Washington as well?
no,
Or-
I'm actually from Utah.
Oh, okay.
So he would come back during summers and get on the dating apps and stuff. And so you were just back, I guess, and like it was the off season. And
Yep.
so we met through, I think it was Hinge and another dating app too, like 2 different dating apps.
We matched on a couple
Really?
of them. And
Yeah,
then
isn't
I-
that crazy?
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we matched on a couple of them, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna message her on Instagram. And
Yeah.
so I did. I just slid into the DMs, and it was game over from there.
Yep.
Sold her.
Yep.
Actually, I did kind of have to. Like after our first date, I think that she had a good time. Like obviously she had a good time, but it wasn't like I couldn't tell if she was interested in me for a couple weeks. So I had to push it.
I think it's better though, like how you guys went when like the guy pursues a little bit. It kind of like switched a little bit for us. Like Josh was really into it and pursuing me and kind of fighting for it. And then once I realized I liked him, I was like, okay, I'm gonna, trust and go forward and stuff. And I actually was the one who asked him to be exclusive. And I think he was like, oh, dang,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, what I did.
I love that. I love that.
I'm like, I knew what I wanted at that point, and I was
Yeah.
super confident. And I was like, you either want to date me or you don't. So,
Oh, my kind of girl. I love that.
yeah.
So what I did, and I don't know, maybe this is kind of dumb, but I had just gotten back from selling that summer, doing the 1,500 account summer. At the time, I really struggled with trying to explain to her what it was that I did. I was worried that it wouldn't translate or it would make me sound weird, like cocky.
Yeah, because
you-
there is
you
like
say
a
that to-
stigma a little bit
Yeah.
with sales,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So
you say that to
yeah.
somebody and it doesn't directly translate. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And so I got asked to speak at Door to Door Con, and I just brought her to hear me speak. And that way it was like, okay, I can bring her here. She can realize I did something kind of cool, and I don't really have to talk about myself. And so I brought her, and she was probably like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
You know?
I was impressed, but I also was wary, just because I was like, I don't know if he's bringing me to just be like, I have a girl, I wasn't sure if I was actually going to be something to
Yeah.
him. Because sometimes people
You
will-
definitely were eye candy.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it was like in your mind and you're like, am I actually going to turn into more than that, But so I was curious though with sales, like because it is such a hard industry, do you feel like you guys really bonded over that? Like it really built your relationship because you had that in common? That.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I feel like we both are very driven and like competitive in a way where it's not like showy.
Yeah.
Like we're both kind of silently competitive.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like he like pushed me because even though at the time when we were like married, I was like, why is he selling more? Like, and I wouldn't really like that pushed me because
Yeah.
I'm like, I know I could do better. Like even if he sold, I'm like, it's all going to the same place, but it didn't matter to me. Like that, like
love
pushed me,
that.
but it wasn't in a negative way.
Yeah,
It was just like,
100%.
I'm going to get up and I'm going to sell more than him. Like, but I would say like it bonded us, like it got us closer because on like the days where I was having a rough time, I had him by my side to help me like,
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're out in the neighborhood across the country away from everything and just this tiny little thing and you just
Yeah.
have each other pretty much. So
I feel like that's such a cool foundation to build a relationship and a marriage off of, because a lot of times when people get married, they're around family and they're not really able to, it's harder to build like that unit, like that special relationship where you have to rely on each other. But sales is pretty hardcore, like
Yeah.
emotionally, it's like a roller coaster. And if you just have each other, like what a cool foundation to build off of for a couple of years.
yeah, no, I agree.
It's extremely uncommon for husband and wives to sell together. It's not a normal thing. I was super intrigued.
Yeah,
by
I was
it.
gonna say like I give so much props to both of you for like doing it together because I feel like it can be a really good thing, I'm sure, but also because I don't know, I've dated in the past people that were in sales and like sometimes it can be hard though when you're married or dating somebody because
Yeah.
it can like form a wedge sort of too. I don't know, just because I'm also really competitive and you're like, oh, if you aren't
Yeah.
doing as well, and you can get down on yourself and stuff like that too. And I think, because I actually went out to Oklahoma when me and Josh were dating, because he was going to go sell one more summer. And so I just decided to go out with him, and I would go out with him sometimes, and I wanted to try it out, like door to door, just because you knew dumb things that I had heard, but I was like, I wonder what it's actually like, you know? And so to actually try it, I was surprised at how hard it was, honestly. Just like the grind, because I used to work at Nordstrom, so that was kind of like commission-based sales and way different, obviously, than door-to-door. But the thing that was so crazy to me is that you just have to keep going and going and going and knocking and knocking. And it was so exhausting. I was like, wow, you know, and just watching how Josh was able to like close people, and the process was so interesting, and how he would talk about like the tone he would use. And I didn't realize there was so much like intricacy in it, you know? And so that bonded us for me to see how hard it was. And so I didn't like go forward with it or anything, but like I really do give you so much props, both of you, but like especially like Josh was saying, because I do feel like girls can be underestimated in that industry, but also like Josh has always said, if they go for it, they can do so well, which I'm not really sure exactly why that is. But anyway, I just think, like Josh said, when you do something hard together, it can really bond you, you know? And I even felt like that with me and Josh. Like, I don't know, just me doing, I had served a mission like for our church, and right before I had met him. And so anyway, I just think when you can both continuously grow and help each other grow, it makes such a huge difference. So
Where did you serve?
I served in Cambodia.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was crazy. I just look up to people who continue to, I don't know, just evolve and grow. You know, like that's why I feel like we're here, like on earth, to just keep pushing each other. And if you can find a partner that wants to keep doing that with you, and you can like push each other, that's when like the real magic happens, you know? So I think that's super cool. Like Josh said, that you guys started there. Yeah.
I think that something that I feel like we have in common with you guys, and again, we don't like, it's not like I know you guys super well, but just the vibes that I read is that me and Caitlin, we both in our own way have kind of main character energy, but it balances in a way where it doesn't clash for the most part. But I also get the same vibe from you guys.
Yeah.
You know, that in your own like realm, you guys have main character energy, and it's cool to meet other, like, I don't know if it's weird to say this, but power couples that are just pushing each other and trying to get better, you know, because a lot of times some relationships just aren't that way, you know, where one of them kind of wears the pants more or less, you know, and is the driving force behind it. But when both partners are that way, it's like you can do crazy things together as a unit.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's cool that you went out and tried it and did it, so you could put yourself kind of in his shoes and understand like what he's going through for all the other years that you weren't out there knocking with him. And
that's also a good example, because I feel like because we did it together, I understood more what he was doing, because I was in it.
Yes.
You know? So I never even thought about it that way. But yeah, like I hands-on, like knowing exactly like what he was getting at the doors was the same thing I was getting for the most part. Yeah. And like all the hardships and the good and the bad.
Yeah.
So
Door to door is a weird world. It's a very weird world that once you're in and you're pretty decent at it, you get these things like I call them golden handcuffs. I've talked with Brad about this. You become so good at it, and it's really hard to leave it because you get used to this lifestyle, and you just kind of get sucked in one year after another, whether you kind of like it or not. It kind of becomes a huge part, at least is how I felt. It becomes a huge part of who you are, and it's just cool that you can see that in your husband. And I'm grateful that you saw that. That was a big part of the reason why I was really wanting you to come out, is because it's a huge part of who I am. Like, door-to-door sales is one of those things where it can be a very formative type of career. It's a formative experience because you have to kind of decide who you are and what you're going to do in that moment, because you're not being watched, you know? At least you hope that you're not being micromanaged. There are micromanagers in the industry. You can decide whether you want to be a hard worker or you don't want to be a hard worker. You can decide if you want to be honest or if you don't want to be honest. You kind of reap what you sow in door-to-door, which is, I think there's something very pure about that.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I feel like it is something that not a lot of other jobs have, is like you have control of like what you are capable of or what you can do.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I loved it, was because like I had control of, like, I couldn't blame anybody else but myself. Like I knew that, like, oh, I'm not selling. Even Brad like even though Brad's selling, it's like that pushes me, but it's not his fault that I'm not selling. There's something I'm not doing. I need to push myself harder, or I need to. So
It's empowering.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's empowering.
I would always tell new sales reps, like, you can go work in an hourly job and you can work a lot harder than the guy next to you and but still be paid the exact same. But
That's so true.
In this, it's like the harder you work, the more you're gonna make. So it's all up to you, and that's why I really like the sales, that career, because I've never really been afraid to work hard and just knowing like, okay, if I push myself, I can make way more than any other hourly job out there.
But I think to like push through that and tap into that, I think, because even for me, I felt that like barrier sort of, because I knew I could be good at it, but I was so scared to kind of push myself and go for it. And I think, like you said, it's so rewarding, but I think a lot of people don't push through that barrier of like, I can create my own job in a way, like my life, what I'm going to make, but it's so probably intimidating in a way too, where like you wake up, like you said, clock in, you're set, you're off, but I think that's why it takes a certain person to do, especially door to door, because it's just, I don't know, it's just so difficult in a way. Like it's
definitely not for everybody. That is for sure.
Yeah.
I do think everybody should try it.
Yeah.
I agree.
I do think like our children will not have it. Like they have to do one summer, no matter what.
Good luck, Josh, trying
No
to
matter
force
what.
some kids to do that. But
Like
Yeah.
just from like the sheer knowledge and like learning experience. I don't care if they're good at it or if they want to do it more than that, but it is mandatory.
It's true. You learn a lot.
like what do you think you guys learned the most? Like what you took away from doing that together, like in your marriage or just in life, like how it's helped you guys?
I would say communicating with just different types of personalities. Like I feel like just because in everyday life you're going to deal with different personalities and different types of people, and I feel like sales helps with that because you meet so many unique people at the doors. Sometimes you're just like, oh, how do I communicate with this personality, or but like sales help you because like the more you keep knocking, it's like muscle memory. And you know how to talk to that person, that certain person, and you start figuring out, oh my gosh, this person's personality
Reminds you maybe of someone else.
Yeah. Or like just
You know how to respond to it.
Yeah, you know how to respond to like that person at the door, but then you take it back home. Like when I come home, socializing with like either my friends, because like you have a ton of friends and they all have different personalities. Not everybody's the same.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
it helps you learn how to communicate with just those different types.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
And even people that you just meet like at a restaurant or at a store, or just random strangers just talking and not being shy like that has all gone out the window. Like I'm not ever like nervous to go up to talk to anybody.
Confidence
at all.
too.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing too is what we've taken from door to door has just been like discipline and the importance of like a routine, and like you're not always going to be motivated every day to go, wake up and like go to the gym, or like to go and like work hard, or like, be the best husband, or like whatever it is, or father or mother, whatever. That's going to come and go. But having like just the discipline and like a system in place, like a routine over all the years of doing door to door like that, it's been instilled.
Yeah.
For sure.
I love that.
I feel like I could talk about this for hours. It's something I'm like so passionate about. So passionate about like the things you can take out of door to door that are not even tied to money.
Yeah.
Money's a big part of the reason why people get into it, and why a lot of people stay. But like the value that you can bring out of, or you can get out of doing something that's that hard.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild, honestly. It's a unique thing. Not a lot of jobs are like that. Before we just keep talking about that, because we could talk about that forever. You guys are significantly more interesting than just what you've done in door to door. So Yassah, as I've like kind of looked at your profile and Brad's profile and tried to get like a kind of a feeling for you guys, you do kind of have a large social media presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when I talked with Brad about it like a long time ago, he told me that it was something you kind of developed like the following earlier, and then you're not as involved with it now.
Yeah.
Is that kind of correct?
Yeah. I feel like I started it like a while back when I was just posting like pictures of me like going to the gym, just because after high school I was playing soccer, running track, playing basketball, and then like that just stops. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
I need something to
Yeah.
keep me, So I just started going to the gym, and I ended up just like loving it and being kind of obsessed with it.
So fitness has played a large role in your
Yeah,
life.
yeah. And I started wearing like a lot of like, I was obsessed with Gymshark, and I was wearing a ton of their stuff. And I just started like, posting in like their workout clothes and stuff like that. And I feel like that's kind of how I like got big.
Yeah.
Was I took a picture in their workout outfit and they posted it on their page. And that's kind of how I started getting more into it. And then they DM'd me like a while back, and they asked me to do like a photo shoot for Whitney Simmons' launch.
Ooh.
That's
Caitlin's a
awesome.
Whitney Simmons fan.
Yeah.
I love her.
She's so cute.
She is
Were
the
you guys
kindest.
in the same ward?
Yeah, I knew her sort of, but
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, it's just been fun seeing her journey. She just seems like really real and
Genuine.
just genuine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
She's amazing. And like, I met her. She's just like very loving. And it was just a cool experience. Like, they flew me out, and I was actually selling in, was that Atlanta?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. And it's
Our first
crazy
summer.
because that was one of my second time flying.
By yourself. It had been a long time because
I had-
you hadn't flown since.
I have like a fear of flying.
Yeah.
But that was like maybe like by myself, and I haven't done it. So I was like so nervous. I'm like, I'm not gonna miss this opportunity because I can't get on a plane.
yeah.
So like they flew me to LA, and like I met a ton of other girls
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and we actually didn't know what it was. They didn't tell us what it was about at all.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, we're doing like this collab thing or whatever, and then Whitney Simmons comes out, and then it was about her new, and all of us were like freaking out. We're like, what the heck? And then they did like a, what is it called? Like a launch pop-up shop thing in LA where like we met like all the Gymshark athletes, and like we got to meet some of like the other fans. It was like just experience
Yeah.
the whole thing. And they had like a big banner of our pictures up, and they picked like 6 girls, like me included and stuff like that. But that's kind of where
Yeah.
it started, and like I started, but then and then I got married, and I feel like, you lose a ton of followers, and it's like once you post you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you post a picture of a guy, and
Yeah.
like, oh, but I feel like it's true. Like, you just,
It's
sometimes
just
you
big changes. And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
and then you just get more busy, and then I just was focusing on sales,
Yeah.
and I had more focus on sales, and like didn't have time to like post as much, because with social media, you have to kind of
Be consistent with
be
posting.
consistent.
Yeah.
And when you're not, you start losing, not necessarily followers, just like the algorithm kind of puts you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, like fitness is a big part of my life. And that's also something I want to instill like in our kids too, is like,
Yeah.
because not only does it help like physically, but mentally.
That's very true.
So I feel like that's been like, because sometimes like, at least for me, I can only speak for myself, but like I'm in my head a lot with like a lot of things. And then like, I like worry about things that haven't even happened yet. So I feel like when I go to the gym, that helps just clear up everything, and I can feel
Yeah.
free of that.
I feel like you can relate.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so easy, like you said, to be present sometimes and just think of like a worst case scenario or yeah. And I think like you said, sometimes you can just unplug, and something that helped me a lot, like postpartum last time, is I signed up for a half marathon, and I had run a couple before that, and I always was like, I'm never going to do it again because it was just so hard. But it was kind of like what we were talking about earlier, doing something hard. I felt like if I can do this again, I'll be so proud of myself, because running has just always been something that I've been scared of,
Yeah.
And so anyway, yeah, that helped me a lot to just have a goal to work towards and train for that, Brad was saying, though, it does take a lot of discipline, but like once you get in that mode and you just keep going and you're consistent, you feel so much better. But it's
Yeah.
really like pushing yourself to keep going, because it's so easy to fall out of the routine. And
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
Like you can
especially
literally
with-
stop
yeah.
working out, and then
Yeah.
like it's hard to get back into working out. Like it's
Oh, it's
just,
very hard
Easier
to get back
to
into it.
lose all the progress.
yeah.
And
and then you have is consistency for sure. So that's also a huge thing, to set a goal for yourself, and like, be like, I'm gonna run this marathon, even though I know it's hard. But then once you do it, you feel so proud of yourself
Yep.
as well. So
kudos to you for that. Running
yeah.
is definitely
Running.
not my forte.
Not me, dude.
So.
I know.
Distance running is not.
Just thinking.
It's
about
all
that.
just like picking and choosing though, you know, like
Yeah.
what you like. And
Yeah.
that can be hard too though in fitness, figuring out what actually works for you, you know, and what you're actually going to make happen.
Yeah.
Cause for me, I felt like it was so easy to have, like I said, the goal or like an actual class that I was going to. So it would be something that I had to do.
Yeah.
But I think that's so cool though that you, I don't know, just had the opportunity and got to do that, you know? And I was curious too, like, how do you feel like going from sales and I guess also fitness and everything, was that hard for you transitioning to motherhood? Because I know you guys have one child, right? How has that been for you, I guess, just transitioning into motherhood? I guess, how has that journey kind of looked for you?
At first, like when I first had Jovi, I felt like at first I struggled, to be honest, just because, you know, like you have more free time when you don't have kids. Like
Definitely.
I'm like, oh, I'm going to the gym. I have my own schedule, like my own routine. And then once I had her, postpartum was kind of tough for me because like I feel like I always thought like I knew my body, and I had like a very traumatic pregnancy, and like with like just like unexpected C-section and then like swelling, like all these things happening in my body. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And then having to like take care of like this little baby too. And I just felt like, I don't know, it was really hard for me.
Yeah.
Like, especially seeing myself and seeing my body in a way that I
Never seen before. Yeah. Yep.
that I'm like, and then even after a while, after the 6 weeks comes, I'm like working out, trying my, you know, like doing the things that I know, I know that like that's good for my body that I know I can get back to, and it's not working. And I'm like, that was tough for me. I was like in this box where I'm like, what's going on? Like what I know isn't working anymore.
Yeah.
And I just like, I kept on going to like the doctor, what's wrong with my body? Like thinking that they would fix it. And I'll like complain to him on, I'm like, what's going on? My body just feels weird. I'm not comfortable with myself. And which I felt like I couldn't give enough love to my baby because I was too focused on myself, which was like a selfish,
Yeah.
like, you know, just because I just wasn't used to all of it. But I think what it came down to, honestly, I was grateful for my brother. He helped me a lot. He stayed with us for like a month, and
Oh, that's nice.
He-
have support.
yeah, like he played BYU football and stuff like that. And he helped me, like, he was like, why don't you try reverse dieting? And like, he just helped me change my focus because he has a son too. He helped me a lot change my focus with like, when you stress out more, you're going to hold on to more.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and that's something I didn't even recognize. I didn't even realize. And I just started focusing more on like, you know, being in the moment, because I always tell Brad, like, you know, like time is a thief. And if you're moving too fast and trying to focus and worry about so many things, you're just going to miss out on like, you know, your baby doing something so small but so big. And I don't know, I just feel like once I started like just being like, take out the stress and started focusing more on like being in the moment with my baby and focusing more on like, you know, my brother was helping me with like reverse dieting and stuff and just feeling happier.
Yeah.
And not so focused on my body and just accepting like, hey, like this is just like this time now, and like you can work out of this, and I just started saying positive like affirmations to myself.
Yeah.
Like almost every morning. And I felt like that helped me a lot, because sometimes I struggle with it, at least, where it's like, I feel so, again, I don't want Jovi to hear that.
Yes,
As she
yes.
gets older, I don't want her to be in that, because us as women, we're just really hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's so easy for
especially in
kids
the-
to like internalize that
Yeah.
and hear that. Yeah.
Especially in the world we live in.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and what we see. And I think that's what really hit me. I'm like, I don't want her to feel like, oh, like I feel icky or I feel like this. Like I want her to feel confident regardless of, you know, like if her body has changed, and to believe in herself that she can
Overcome.
overcome that. And that's just like there's time, like there's a time for everything. And that's just my time right now to be in that like place where it's like, okay, this is the time I need to be with my baby, and like,
Yes.
you know, but
Yeah. I think like you said, because it's so new though, it just reminded me like, because we're about to have another baby this year. And I hope like this time around I can give myself more grace, like you said.
Yes.
And like really obviously, yes, enjoy the moment. You can still give yourself grace for the hard times. But like you said, the newborn phase especially, like you guys know, it just goes really fast.
Yeah.
And so but it's so easy to be so overwhelmed because you're experiencing everything for the first time. And I have to say, like, I also had a traumatic pregnancy and a C-section unexpectedly.
Oh, wow.
And so I went through like all the laboring. It was like 50 hours of labor plus the C-section. It is such a rough transition because you're like, it's almost like a new person, like you said, you've never seen before in a way, but like you're so proud of, but then you're so like extremely hard on yourself, you know? And I don't know, but then you look back on it, like you said, and you're like, wow, I've gained so much confidence. I'm in a better spot now, but you just have to kind of give yourself that grace and that time. And so I hope this time around I can do that. But I am so proud of you though, for going through that, because I can relate, and it can be just daunting, and it just feels like you're never going to get out of it, you know? And like, just to sit here now, just like brought up so many emotions when you were talking, like, it's just cool, you know, like we're in a different spot. Right. And obviously we're not perfect, or we're not like, we're changed forever, no matter what, you know, but it's like another hard thing that we did. Right. And it's going to make us a better person. It's going to make us a better parent. Cause I know dads go through a lot too. And I'm sure Brad can speak on this as well, but like, it's a huge change for all of us, like the whole, you know, couple, I guess, to go through. And so anyway, I just think that it's really awesome that you like recognize that and you can keep pushing and growing. So, but I don't know if there's anything, Brad, that you could like touch on, I guess, like how fatherhood has changed you, or guessing like your wife go through that too. And I don't know, just how you feel about all of the changes in your life with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's, first of all, you have to give credit to the moms, to the mothers. I mean, what we were talking about this, like what they go through is insane, from pregnancy to everything after. But yeah, I mean, like they say, as soon as you have your first kid, like your whole world just completely changes. Like it will never ever be the same.
Your perspective,
Yeah, and like Yassah mentioned, you know, you lose all the time and all the stuff that's like, oh, I can go and my schedule's open, I can go do this, that, whatever. But now with a kid, you have to work around everything, as you guys know. I mean, even just to meet and do this, right?
Yeah,
it takes so much coordinating,
coordinating and scheduling and planning and babysitting and all this stuff. Everything that now we do in life is all for our children.
Yeah,
it's like in the past it was, okay, I got to go out and work hard so I can make money, so I can have this like vision of like what I want to do in life and stuff. But now it's like changed to just like, okay, I want to go and provide a great life for my children, for my baby. So like literally just every aspect of life change. It's all evolved around them. It's not about like myself anymore.
And I was going to say too, like we have loved so much, like sitting down, like especially with you guys and just having people on the podcast, because like you said, doing the coordinating, finding babysitters, like it makes you so grateful for the time that you have, the quality time, because you make it count, you know? And I think sometimes when you're just going about your life, and not to say that like I don't think you have to have children to not be selfish, but I do think that perspective changed for me, where I felt like I had to kind of focus more on someone else, you know, like that relies on me and relies on us. And so it's like, I'm super grateful for that, because it is really easy, I think, in this world to kind of be, I don't know, more about yourself, I guess. Oh, sure. And not that that's a bad thing. Like Yassah was saying, like we all love self-care, right? Like I love taking care of myself, face masks, like whatever it is,
You're
you know,
big self-care girl.
Yeah. And so
I love that.
It's totally important though. Like you were saying, like you still have to find who you are, what fills your cup as a parent, you know, because that can take a toll too when you just focus everything on your child, right? Yeah. And so I think that's one of the hardest parts though, is like balancing that, you know?
Because you can't lose yourself.
Yeah.
You know? Or like your marriage.
Yes.
Because sometimes I feel like a lot of like relationship too, it's like they lose themselves within their kids. And they just, you know, that's something I feel like we had to balance that too. It's like, oh, I have this, like now we don't have time for each other. It's like doing like, you know, trying to talk about like date night and stuff like that, and still having time for each other.
Yes.
Like that's also like a big thing too, is, I mean, you guys probably know too, it's like just trying to make sure you have time for each other, because as much as you love your kid, like you can't forget about your relationship.
Yeah, you have to be intentional about it, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you guys try to do like, I don't know, do you weekly date nights or like what do you guys do to make each other a priority?
We try. We always talk about like trying to be
Yeah.
more consistent with like
We're very aware of it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, but we've never really been good at being like, okay, it's Monday night or Thursday night that we're dedicated like to this because always something else comes up.
we have
But we have done pretty good. We do at least once or twice a month.
jazz game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
jazz game.
That's
we
his
just,
date
we just
night
went to a
every time.
soccer game. We
Yeah.
try to go to dinner and do different things or go play pickleball.
We
we've
love
gotten into
pickleball.
that a
Oh,
lot
fun.
We
lately.
love
Nice,
pickleball.
man. Get moving.
Yeah.
So,
Dude, I
stuff
would
like
not
that.
want to play pickleball against you guys. I, feel
I
like
know,
you
I'm
guys
sure
would
they're
kick our
super good.
butts.
Me and Josh were like in the back. Like, I think I played pickleball like twice, but I don't know. I always wanted to be like a sporty girly, and I never really was. I did cheer though, and cheer was actually really hard. I did it in high school, but yeah, I don't know. I think it takes like a certain person to be really good at sports, and I don't think I have it. But
I'm
I
sure you
respect
will.
it. I respect it.
He's like, I respect the game.
Yeah, exactly.
What sports did you guys play growing up?
I played soccer, I ran track, and I played basketball. And then I also did cheer.
Oh, dude, you did it all. She was a sporty girly and a dancing like queen. That's awesome.
That's cool.
So, yeah, I feel like my main sport though was soccer.
Yeah.
And
Do you guys
track.
ever go to Real games?
Yeah,
We
we
just
just
did.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did?
we just
yeah.
went like
My first game, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
he's
my
never
first
been. I'm
time
like,
going.
I always used to go to Real games.
I
And then he
know.
planned a date.
Yeah.
So I was like so excited because
Yeah.
I grew up going to Real games and stuff.
Yeah.
And my dad's a big soccer guy.
Yeah.
Big time. They just put us in everything, honestly.
That's what we
So-
plan on doing. Dude, our son,
Yeah.
we need to tire him out. Like, get your energy out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
As
it's
many
smart.
activities.
Yeah.
Put them in
Yeah.
everything and then they can choose.
Yeah.
So
We're starting out with tumbling, and then I just signed him up for soccer, but I'm like, we'll see. I even think like Josh has said, like jujitsu or like
Wrestling.
wrestling would be super cool. So we'll have to see.
gets
But
out a lot of
Respect to
energy.
wrestlers, man.
I know
Yeah.
wrestling so
I found it like my sophomore year of high school, which honestly, it's too late. It's at that point, it's too late because most of the people that are doing wrestling, they've done it for a long time, and I was just getting my butt kicked. The only thing that I had sometimes was that I was usually stronger than people in my weight class, but I would get out techniqued like, all the
Technique, yeah.
time. All the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I would gas out. Like I would use my strength to pin people, but it's like, but anyways, I fell in love with it, but I discovered the sport too late. Our son's gonna do it.
what did you do, Brad? Sports?
So, played football like as a kid up
Yeah.
until high school or a year before high school. But I played basketball. Basketball was my main sport. So since 4th grade on.
Did you grow up in Utah?
No, I grew up in Idaho.
Oh, in Idaho.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So basketball pretty much my whole life, and then I started playing tennis when I was a freshman in high school. So I played all 4 years in high school.
So that's probably why you like
That's why I
pickleball,
like
right?
pickleball,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
He's
super cool.
insanely good at
That's
pickleball.
why
Because I think because of tennis.
Do you still
the-
play tennis too?
I don't really have. I haven't played in a long time.
Really?
Yeah. There's not as many opportunities to play because there's not a huge group of people that play tennis that compared to like, oh yeah, let's go play a pickup game of basketball. There's just not really many people that had that background. in
Have you ever
playing
thought
tennis,
about
so-
like joining a team? Because one of my best friends actually is on a team here, and she loves it.
Oh, like a club or like
Uh-huh.
some sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually,
That's smart.
I did talk to someone about that the other day. That would be good because I'd love to get back into it, especially after playing pickleball a lot lately. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, like it's making me miss like tennis.
Yeah, because watching my friend do that, especially as a mom, I feel like it's so fun for her to have that set aside. Like, I'm going to go to my game. I mean, it obviously takes a lot of time too, but I just think it can help so much to have.
And she enjoys winning.
Yeah, for sure. Who doesn't? But like you said, it's hard to find time not only for like your date nights, but also filling like your own cup too,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you should maybe look into that. That'd be cool.
I feel like that's something that's been hard for us to kind of figure out. The filling of our own cups, balancing it with entrepreneurship. Like I personally have had a hard time with that. I think that that's something that with parenthood, I wasn't necessarily expecting. And it's like, look, I didn't really do the hard part of being pregnant and having the baby. But everything about our life is better. Like with having a child
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's easier. In fact, it's significantly not easier. But life is so much more purpose filled.
Yeah.
with a child. And the way I've explained it to Caitlin, I felt like I was like the Grinch whose heart was in a box and then all of a sudden exploded out of the box. And it was just like an instantaneous thing. Being a parent is equal parts awesome, and it demands the best of you, especially if you're going to not lose your identity, like emphasis on your relationship. I don't know why, but it seems like those are the first two to kind of like waver, that you have to be intentional about them.
Well, and something I was thinking about when you guys were talking, I feel like it's a constant like thought where you want to be, like Josh is saying, the best for your kid. And I don't know, like you dream, I think, in a way of like your children looking at your relationship and thinking like, I look up to them for this, or they love each other like this, and I could see myself having that, or, you know, and obviously we're not going to be perfect, but I think it's always so good to remind ourselves like we're working towards being our best selves, not only for us and our like our love and our marriage, but also for our kids to look at our example and be like, wow, you know, that's maybe something that I could have, or I would want to have, you know. And I don't think that's like as common sometimes, like seeing that as a child, you know, like where people continuously put each other first and are like romantic and still in love. And I don't know, it's hard obviously, but I think it's doable. And I think like I always think about that. Like I want to try and have Noah, I don't know, just see us and be happy that we're his parents, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
So that kind of leads to a good question. With your daughter, what are some things that you guys would want to teach her or her to recognize about your guys' relationship? Like, what would you want her to take out of that?
I don't know. I would say take out of it is like patience and slowing down and being aware of like needs, like of your partner. Like I hope she can see it's like, I would say the biggest thing is just patience, because at the end of the day, like you do marry somebody, you do get to know them, but at the same time, you're still learning about them every step. Like,
Yes.
it doesn't matter how long you've been married. Like it's always something new that you learn about them. So it's like trying to understand and being understanding and being patient is, because like I feel like that's something, I feel like you're really good. He's really good at that. He's so patient.
That comes from mission, door-to-door sales, having sales guys.
Where did you serve on your mission?
I served in New England.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So Yassah was saying you're super patient. Is that because of all the companions that you had?
I think everybody learns a little bit of patience from companions, but
Yeah.
I was really blessed to have awesome companions.
Oh, that's good.
But,
That's awesome.
but definitely, definitely some that
Yeah.
that tested your patience. And
I think it's just a part of you. You're just a very easygoing, like chill.
He gives off like peace, like a cool energy, like calming energy.
He's very just chill, laid back, like he's social, but it's like, because I wouldn't say you're shy, but I'm more like, hey, like in your face, like big,
Sounds like a good
personality.
balance though for you
Yeah.
guys, which
Yeah.
is good. Yeah.
It works out great.
Because I've talked to Josh about that before. I'm like, can you please be my peace? Because I feel like we're both so intense sometimes, and we're like, which one's gonna be more peaceful? Because we need peace.
Neither one of us.
So I'm like kind of jealous of you guys a little bit. I'm like, oh gosh.
I'm
It's
kind
just-
of,
yeah.
I'm always the one that's like, don't worry. Whenever she's stressed, she always stressed about like everything. I'm like, it'll all work out. It'll all be fine.
everything.
Like, no,
Yeah, I know.
No
I can
worries,
relate for sure.
But he is
You're
the one
talking her
that
off the
calms
ledge.
me.
Yeah.
That's good.
He's the one that calms me for sure. It's like, he's like, everything will work out. And sometimes I'll be like, oh my gosh. Like, that's his thing.
Yeah.
Or it's all part
Everything,
of the
it'll
plan.
all work out. It's all part of the plan. I'm like, oh my gosh. If you say that one more time.
That's hilarious. That's good though.
That's
I love
good.
that.
With your mission, because missions are pretty transformative experiences themselves. It's the only thing that I can really kind of liken to door-to-door sales and how transformative it can be. What do you feel like you took from your mission? Like lessons learned?
Oh man. Well, I mean, other than patience and like we already touched on, but just working hard. I mean that, and we talked about how door-to-door sales is so unique where a lot of people do it for the money, but all the other skills and the other things that you learn are in some ways even more valuable than that.
Yeah.
When you even mentioned that, I just thought of my mission too, because a lot of people say like that 2 years or a year and a half really is like 10 to 15 years of life experience packed into a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Right out of high school, basically talking with, adults, and especially so in probably similar in Cambodia, but the success rate on in New England, it's the lowest baptizing mission in all of the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the least religious part of the country.
What religion are they? Not even really?
Yeah, it's the most atheist part of the
atheist.
country.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and then probably next would be Catholic, but really there's just not a lot of like really like
They're not as open.
faithful part of the country. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other things that kind of plague them with like drugs and alcohol and opioid crisis and like all these things. And so it's which was really interesting to me. But yeah, the average like baptism per missionary was at the time at least was like 0.7 like for a whole mission. Yeah. So like if you just baptized one person, you're already above average basically. So it's hard when you have friends like in other places in like South
Brazil,
America.
and
Brazil, yeah.
They're baptizing 100 people.
I had a friend in Brazil and a cousin in Provo serving, and this is like one of the highest like baptizing areas. And then you see people in South America, Central America that are just baptisms every single week, and it's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong type thing. But it's but that's how a lot of people measure success is by like, how many conversions, but that's obviously not at all what it really is.
Well, and I was
about.
gonna say too, like when you also saying earlier about like learning to communicate through sales, I feel like on my mission at least, like it is discouraging because you were wondering at times like, am I even talking to the right people? Like, what am I even doing? Because if you're not seeing success that way with conversion of other people, you're like questioning yourself sort of as a missionary. Just, I don't know if you felt that way, but, but then you look at it later and I've just realized like the success rate is so vast. Like you can look at it like not only communicating with your companions, like we're talking about, like you can learn so much from just living with somebody, right? And then that can translate into so many different like skills. And then like, I don't know, even just converting yourself and learning things about yourself that you never even knew. So I'm sure you felt that in a way too, but it can be discouraging, like for sure. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So. And then at the same time too, like just the physical like challenge of it, like going out every day, waking up super early, being very strict with like following a schedule. And
what was harder, do you think, physically between door to door and mission?
Oh, mission.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But probably comparable, maybe. I don't know.
It is comparable, but I felt, and I think that's why a lot of return missionaries end up doing really well in door to door because, I mean, obviously, like, you're getting paid, so it's like
that's true. You're not a volunteer anymore.
And you can also like listen to like music and stuff that'll like pump you up and
true.
And you also know that I'll go knock some more doors, then I'll go out to eat, or I'll go and hang out with friends, or I'll go watch a movie,
these little boosts kind of, right?
Like, all these things that you can do now that you weren't really like able to do while on a mission. And so just like, and then also the biggest thing is trying to sell religion or sell the gospel is way harder than selling pest control or a home service.
That's so interesting.
It's like it's a very obviously long process from finding someone like the introduction of everything, getting them to come. Like it's a whole different thing. So just the quick like transactional things, like it ended up having done a mission just made door to door a lot easier. So I actually look back and just wonder all the time. Like whenever I see missionaries out there, I'm like, how did I even do that? How did I do that for 2 whole years? Like when I get done with the summer, I'm like burnt out, like tired. I'm like, wait, I did this for 2 years.
Yeah, that's true straight. Because like the summer really is 4 months, right? Or whatever. And then, like day in, day out, 2 years, like, and you're not able to talk to, like you said, you don't have all the things that you normally would. Communicating with your family, music. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And he spoke Swahili on his mission.
Oh,
really?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is unexpected for a New England missionary.
Yeah. No, it was unexpected for me too. Interesting little side note, but when my stake president set me apart like the night before I went to the MTC or became a missionary. He said in the blessing that I would like learn languages and speak plainly. And I thought it was kind of, I was like, okay, you know, maybe he's talking about like learning like the language of the spirit or something. I don't know. I was like, okay, like I'll learn how to communicate with these people. I didn't really think much of it at all. Because, you know, you think of New England as just English.
Were
And
you
I was
assigned
called
English?
I was called English, yeah. So what happened was the last 6 or 7 months of my mission, I was in this area that was a really heavily populated area with African refugees.
Okay.
And from like the Congo and Tanzania and Uganda and stuff like that. And so a really heavy like Swahili speaking presence there.
Wow.
And they the funny thing is they had Jehovah's Witnesses in the area that had learned Swahili and were speaking
Oh,
Swahili.
dude, it was a battle, huh?
Yeah, and they had
Turf
They
wars.
had opened up a branch and there like a Swahili speaking Jehovah's Witness branch. I was like, oh my goodness. Anyway, long story short, mission president came and was talking to me and my companion, stuff like that, and he asked me to learn Swahili and to really dive into that and kind of work
Dang,
with
that's
that
intense.
with that area. So my companion, he was French speaking because there was a lot of those people also speak French.
Oh, wow.
And in Portland, Maine, there's a pretty heavy African refugee population.
I
as
never
well.
would have guessed that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then you're also kind of up by Canada where they speak French too. So there are people that get called to that mission speaking French and Spanish, and at the time there was no Swahili like called.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
speak there. So anyway, so me and I learned Swahili, and they didn't have it at the time church materials to like learn that. So my mission president ordered like stuff from Amazon and like got me all these books and CDs and stuff like that. And then I would also like visit with you know, the actual African refugees themselves, and they would teach me Swahili.
That
and I
probably
would
helped a lot more than the Amazon books.
Yeah, that helped a lot. And then
Yeah.
I would teach Swahili, so we used it as like, or no, I'm sorry, I would teach them English.
Oh,
and so we
yes,
would
yes.
use like, hey, come to the church, like for
English lessons.
We did that too in Cambodia too. Yeah. Uh-huh.
That sort of thing. And so but there were times where we would be in a lesson where, right, the investigator spoke maybe a little bit of English and then Swahili and French, like they were fluent in that. And so we would have lessons where my companion would like talk to them in French, and then I would pick up
Dude,
in
that's
Swahili.
crazy.
And then they would
That's
like go back
wild.
and forth because so it was definitely an
The
interesting
gift
time.
of tongues up in
It
there.
is.
Yeah.
It is. And then the craziest thing of all is when I got home, so in Twin Falls, Idaho, where I'm from, and again, you would probably never, ever have known this, but there's actually a huge African refugee population in Twin Falls, Idaho.
I never would have guessed.
And I didn't really know that while I was out there. And it actually happened a lot, like a lot of people migrated there while I was on my mission. So when I got home, there were elders in the ward, and I saw a Swahili name tag on one of them. I'm like, what the heck? And I talked to them. They're like, oh yeah, we just started, learning Swahili here to work with these refugees here. Long story short, I went on a lot of like splits with them to go and teach and stuff like that.
That's so cool.
And now they actually have their own like a Swahili speaking branch in Twin Falls, Idaho, in my hometown.
That's awesome.
So it's crazy. And then when I went to school up there, to the College of Southern Idaho, and I would run into a lot of Swahili speakers, and or at work or whatever, and occasionally on the doors over the years. Those are always the best because I really don't get a lot of opportunities to practice.
And they're
and
probably
speak
so
Swahili,
surprised.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean-
They're probably so surprised that you're talking to them in
Yeah.
Swahili.
Yeah.
It was 100% a sale too. That was the funny thing.
And they're probably feeding you dinner too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just the nicest. In Delaware, my first summer, I ran into some Kenyans, and they were so amazed. They were so surprised, and they invited me to come to their one of their Christian like churches and come and speak at their church.
Wow,
that summer.
that's pretty cool.
So I did that, but yeah, every time they're just so surprised, and they just change from like no interest at all to like I'm starting to like use some words and then they're all of a sudden interested and they're like, oh my gosh. And
Yeah, it's crazy how like speaking their language can change their whole, perspective and demeanor and everything. Yeah.
That's why I kind of wish I knew Spanish, because I knew all the sales guys that I've worked with over the years that speak Spanish always have like a huge advantage and more sales every day from that. That would be nice. This is unfortunate. I mean, it's cool that I was able to do that.
I feel like that with Cambodian too, though. Like you said,
yeah.
it's hard to like actually keep it up because you don't get as many opportunities.
Is that the official language? Is it called Cambodian?
Yeah, it's Khmer, but yeah, it's Cambodian.
Yeah,
just easier.
You're probably not running into too many.
Yeah, but like it's so cool, like what you were saying, that even when you got home, there were still opportunities for you to kind of meet people, and you just never know. I guess like God works in mysterious ways, and I just think like. I do wish I know there's been times where I probably could have tapped into that a little bit more, because even when we lived in Washington, there's a ton of Southeast Asian people out there, and I wasn't able to, like, I was just going through it with like postpartum and so many things, but yeah, I want to continue to try and like seek those things out, because I still feel like a huge connection to Cambodia. Like you just kind of do always, I think, like just it's part of you, and your story and everything. And like you go through a lot to learn the language and all of that. So I think that's just such a cool story. That's so cool.
Speaking of stories, I know Brad told me to ask you about your story, because it sounds like it's pretty interesting and it kind of correlates.
Yeah. I'm originally from Liberia, West Africa. That's where I was born. Me and my brother both came 2002. During the time there was a civil war. So
in Liberia?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a civil war there. So, I mean, going back, my dad was already here in the U.S.
Okay.
So my dad served a LDS mission. He's a convert.
Okay.
So
oh, wow.
The missionaries were in Liberia at the time. They talked to him. Even though he had 2 kids, they still allowed him to serve a mission.
Oh, that's super interesting. I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
I know. He served, but he only served in the neighboring country of Ghana. Ghana's right next to Liberia. They didn't let him go like too far.
Yeah.
But he begged them to serve, and he served a full 2 years. And then when he came back home, and at the time we were living with my grandma, me and my brother. Mm-hmm. And when he came back to Liberia, he's a soccer player. So there was scouts from BYU Hawaii, and they recruited him. Mm-hmm.
To come play
soccer at BYU Hawaii.
Wow. Okay.
And full scholarship.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. So he went there. He left us with our grandparents. My real mom and him, they were never really married. They were just. They just had us?
Yeah. Is it just you and your brother?
Yeah. So me and my little brother, and then I have a half sister.
Okay.
But at the time, me and my brother and my dad served his mission, got a full-ride scholarship at BYU Hawaii, and then he went there to play soccer while he was working on sending for us. But then while he was there during the time, there was probably the second Civil War or third. I don't know, a lot went on there, but it was during the Civil War. Mm-hmm. So we all had to refuge to Ghana.
Okay. How old were you when this was happening?
I was 5.5, because when I came to the U.S., I just barely turned 7. So during when all this started, I was probably 5.5. But
it's kind of scary.
Yeah. It's crazy how much you remember as a kid when you go through something so traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's really young, but you said, it was probably, you couldn't forget some of the things.
I remember everything. Mm-hmm. But my dad, while he was in Hawaii, we refuged to Ghana, and then this is a long story short. We were in Ghana.
We don't have to make it short. Do your thing. It's interesting.
And then we were there for a year. We were in Ghana for a year. My dad, at the time, had met my stepmom at BYU Hawaii, and she's from Utah. But she was going to Hawaii at the time for school. And they met. They got married in Hawaii Temple. And then it's crazy because her patriarchal blessing says you'll have kids that are not your own. Mm-hmm. And she always thought maybe I'll adopt, or maybe. And then she met my dad, who already has kids. Mm-hmm. And
oh, wow.
So he told her, before they were married, but he told her, I have kids, I'm going to send for them, if that's something, before they got too serious.
Yeah.
And she was, instantly was that's crazy. This is, part of my blessing, and maybe this is it. This is, But, yeah, they got married, and then while we're in Ghana, a lot happened in Ghana. There was so many refugees. People were getting sick. The water in Ghana was not good. My brother had worms. I got sick a lot. And at the time, my real mom was never really, she was going out a lot. My dad would send money. She would use it for herself and go off and do stuff. So we weren't in the best condition. We were like one of those kids, I don't know if you've seen on TV, like where very skinny, extended belly. Like that was me and my brother. Like very,
Makes me so sad. Yeah.
very like just,
Yeah.
you know, and this is not to put down like, you know, anything with my mom. Like regardless, I can't choose who my mom is. She's still my mom. But she just was never, she wasn't really the mom that
Like you guys needed. Yeah.
yeah, that we needed. Moving forward, my dad had worked with some guys, and him and my stepmom had worked with some guys because my mom, he was gonna send for us and her, but she was just, when he found out, she was just kind of, you know, using the money not to like help us, but to like serve herself. He just like got some guys, and I remember it was in the middle of the night. We were sleeping on the floor. It was like just a big tarp. I have half sisters, like a half sister and half brother. So we were with them in the house, but we were all young. So like I think my oldest half sister, she was probably 10. Yeah. So she was the one taking care of us when my mom was like gone.
Man, that's a burden for a 10-year-old.
Yeah. So I remember it was late at night. My mom wasn't there. And we were sleeping on the tarp floor. And these two men come in and they woke us up. And in Liberia, like in Africa, you obey your, like it's just very like obedience, or else you get like beat or you get punished. Like there's different like punishment. Like this right here is like a punishment from like, as a kid, you do something bad, you get punished. That's just how it was.
Yeah.
When you see an adult and they tell you to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
So we didn't know them. They just came in, they woke me and my brother up. They put big coats on us, like big winter coats. We had a backpack about this big, put on my back, and then they took us to the airport. Like we didn't know.
That's intense.
Just you and your younger brother?
Me and my brother. We didn't know what was going on.
Dude,
We didn't know.
poor older half sister was probably like, what in the hell is going on?
They just told her to like, I don't even know what happened there.
Yeah.
I think she was just probably scared.
Yeah.
And again,
is your brother older than you?
no. So he looks like it.
Wow.
Everybody thinks that.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everybody. He's just a big
If
kid.
he plays for BYU football, or if he did, he's probably a big dude.
Yeah, he's a big kid. He just looks older than me. But yeah, he's my little brother, because when we first came to the US, I had just barely turned 7 and he was 5.
Okay, so you were holding it down though, like because
Yeah.
you're the older. I mean, at that point, you know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So like they took us to the airport, they put us on a plane, like there was no
they
explanation.
weren't with you though, right? Like they didn't go with you. It was just sending you off. Like
Yeah, and my
Wow.
dad had planned all this.
Wow.
But obviously we were too young to like,
maybe that's why you're scared of flying though.
oh yeah, I'm just terrified.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
And I've gotten
Yeah.
better because we've traveled a lot. And I've gotten way better.
But I was just thinking maybe
Yeah.
like it brings you back to that moment. I
Yeah.
don't know, but yeah.
The trauma of
Yeah.
like, yeah, for sure. But they put us on the plane, and my dad had paid people to like to watch us because we were minors.
Yeah, that's what I
And-
was wondering. Okay, yeah. Uh-huh.
He had paid somebody to watch us, but something happened. It was honestly, it was a grace. I remember it was this lady. We get on the plane, we've never seen white people before. Like we've never seen anything other than what we've seen before.
Yeah, just yeah.
And we get on the plane, and it was actually when we got to New York. Because we got on the plane, but in New York, there was supposed to be someone to watch us. So on the plane from Liberia, like from Ghana, there was nobody. The person that my dad paid didn't watch us. My brother was crying the whole time on the plane.
yeah.
I couldn't
That's sad.
like calm him
He probably
down.
was so scared. He didn't understand
Yeah,
anything.
he was just terrified. And I mean, and we're in the air, and he just, and we've never seen
wow.
anything like that before.
Yeah.
But then we were supposed to fly to Hawaii to meet up with my
From New
stepmom.
York?
Yeah, so from New York, we were supposed to fly to Hawaii.
Okay, yeah.
So to meet up with my stepmom and my dad, because that's where they were at. My stepmom got pregnant, so she flew back to
wow.
Utah. So my dad just was like, "Well, have them fly back to Utah while I finish school." And
Okay.
and we've never met her before. We don't even.
Wow. So you first, after all that, went to her.
Yeah.
That's intense.
And we like talked to her on the phone, but like
Yeah.
in Liberia, like it's pidgin English, so like it's very broken English. We couldn't understand what she was saying to us.
Oh, yeah.
Like it just sounded like it was like I don't even know how to explain it. We couldn't understand her.
like gibberish, kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even
That's
though she
probably
was
so
speaking English,
shocking.
it was just
Yeah.
it was just different from our English. So we met in New York, and we were actually flying with like a cousin of ours, and we had to split up from them. from him. And
Dude, I'm shocked that you guys were able to make it on all of these like flights.
yeah, so
man.
there was actually a flight attendant that came to get us.
That's good. Okay.
There was something scheduled. A flight attendant that came to get us. And from New York, we got on the plane to fly to Utah.
Okay.
And Diane was crying the whole time. Like, even worse.
Yeah, your brother. Yeah.
Even worse on the second flight.
Oh.
And I just
that's so
remember like
sad.
not knowing what to do. And this really nice lady, and she was like this white lady, and we just were like, we've never experienced or seen anybody like that before. And she just got up because he just was crying. And she just got up, she's like, "Are you okay?" She asked the guy next to us, like, "Can I switch you seat to sit by them?"
Oh, that's so
So
sweet.
she sat by us, and she just like comforted him, and she like asked him to like bring food. And he just like, he was calm. She was the nice, I tell him all the time, I was like, I will never forget that moment. She
Yeah, because
was,
you probably even in that like didn't understand everything, but she was so kind, right?
Yeah, she was so kind.
She
and
brought
very,
a lot of calmness to the
Yes.
situation.
I mean, like she calmed him down. Like it just was very.
Dude, shout out to nice people on flights
I
with
know,
kids.
right?
I'm like, seriously,
Yeah.
you can change lives. Like,
she was so
yeah.
kind. And then we got to Utah, and funny thing is, we got there in August, and we were wearing giant coats. Like
It was summertime,
big coats,
yeah.
in Liberia all they knew of like the U.S. it was cold.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Like they were
All
thinking you're
they
going maybe
knew-
to snow or
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we walked out off the plane, our backpack and we walked out and we see like all these people. My stepmom's white and all our family's white. So we all like, they're all like smiley face, like, "Oh my gosh." Like, and in all of our pictures, we just are scared. We're like this, like just terrified.
Yeah.
Like there was no smile. We were just so confused. And now why all these people were like hugging us and like, and I remember my mom asking, and she even tells us this now. She would ask like, "Where is their suitcases?" Because one of the workers like brought us, and she's like, and the lady was like, "Oh, that's all they brought," and it was literally the tiniest backpack. And she goes, "Where is their clothes?" And she goes, "They don't have any." Like that was it. So it was like definitely my mom. Even when she tells the story, she's like, she was like, it was just like hits you that like other people's lives in different places. Like it's just
So different.
it's so different than what she's she's like, at least I
Utah's
expected.
definitely a bubble.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, they got us, we went home we were living in Ogden at the time. My mom was staying with her parents in Ogden while my dad was, so it was weird because like it's not like we met people we didn't even know. We didn't even see a familiar face, which would be my dad. And
That's
so
scary,
that was scary.
honestly, really scary.
and we got there and like I remember my grandma fed us like peas soup with like rice in it, and we just
Probably
picked
like,
out.
what the heck is that?
Oh yeah, we like picked out all the grains of rice because we're used to eating like
Yeah.
our cultural food is like rice and some kind of soup. We
Yeah.
just picked out all the grains of rice. We didn't eat like anything else.
Yeah.
And it was just like obviously it was something that they had to get used to too.
Yeah.
Because we had thick accents, like thick, like very broken English. I mean, they could hardly understand us. And we were for a while, we were kind of quiet.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, we got better. Like my mom put us in soccer and my dad finally came home. Like put us in a lot of sports.
Were you
was that
guys
like,
were you guys in
seeing-
Utah ever since then? Well,
Yeah.
like you never he came back from Hawaii. You guys never went to Hawaii, right? You stayed in Utah. Okay.
We stayed there. When
Okay.
he got done with school, he came back. So yeah, living in Utah and like living in, growing up, even like starting like elementary school was hard because like, elementary schools, like kids, like they judge anything that's different.
Yeah, they do.
Like it's
Kids
just
are ruthless.
They are like, and it's like I had a thick accent. I had braids in my hair. I was just different. And I mean, I'm in Utah, so like I'm one of the only black kid, like aside from my brother, but we were in separate grades.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm in a class of just all white kids, and it's me. And when I was young, I never even saw it like that. Like I never really like.
Put it together.
I never
Yeah.
put it together like that at all. I mean, I knew I was different because kids made it apparent that I was different.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like something it took time to like try to, make friends and try to like connect. And
Did you guys always stay in Ogden or did you move?
No, we moved to just a different, like more like Kaysville, like Layton area.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I like went to like high school, junior high school.
Was it late in high school?
I went to North Layton junior
North
high.
Layton. Okay.
And then I went to Northridge High School.
Northridge. Okay.
Northridge and Layton are really close.
Okay.
Together. But yeah, it was, I feel like junior high school got better. Like it was really just like elementary was just
Yeah.
like
Huge
different.
transition. Yeah.
Because junior high was, I feel like where I really got out of my bubble and I was like doing track and I like killed it in track. Like I was like winning a lot of my meets and I felt like that's how I connected with like made friends was through my sports.
Yeah.
And because I was good at it, people wanted to like be my friend.
Yeah.
It sounds weird, but like
Yeah, no, I could totally
it's
see the
true.
correlation as a kid.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like this coolness factor. I think people feel like that about sports anyway.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, oh, you're a football player. Oh, you're, you know, like you're just automatically cooler.
it was definitely an experience just growing up in Utah, you know, but I've never, like, I've always had really good friends and like, always, you know, but it was definitely took time because I had to take English as a second language. Like, because me and my brother, we both had to take that.
Yeah.
Just because teachers couldn't understand us. And it was just something that was
did
mandatory.
you both get baptized at 8 or you did in the church? Okay.
Yeah. The cool thing is my parents are just very like, they never forced anything on us.
Yeah.
They actually allowed us to choose.
Yeah.
Even like with church, my stepmom would be like, me and your dad are going to church. And at the time, our church was just across the street.
Yeah.
She's like, me and your dad are going to church. I laid out clothes for you. If you guys want to come, we'd love to have you guys.
Oh,
And she gave us a choice.
that's nice.
And it wasn't like a...
Like forceful.
And of course, we chose to go. Like, you know, we weren't going to not go.
I feel like maybe some kids would have, maybe not though.
Yeah,
yeah.
we went and it was, I would consider, I was old enough, like, because like I got baptized and like my mom like just like, if you choose to, we would love you either way.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
really
chose
nice,
to get
though. Yeah.
baptized. But I love that kind of like parenting style when it comes to the church. Just because I think if it was the other way around, it would have been different. Like
Yeah.
if it was like forceful or like kind of like, nope, that is what you have to do. That is, we're this and this is you too.
Yeah.
Just because like I was going on to 8 already. So, but at the time, all I knew was like church. So of course, like, you know, but I just didn't, like, I love that my parents never like, they gave me a choice
That's nice.
to like be able to go and stuff like that. But no, I feel like being from a different country and having that experience and seeing things as a kid, like, there was things you see, like there was kids with guns, like young kids
That's
with like
scary.
guns and like the refugees. It was pretty much like our country fighting against each other. Half the country liked the president, half of them didn't. And it was really just
So much turmoil. Yeah. That's
and they
so
wanted
sad.
like recruits and they would take young kids. Even if you look it up now on the internet, it's like you see little kids with guns.
Yeah.
And I tell
Child soldiers.
Yeah.
It's super sad.
and it's honestly, I always tell my mom, like, it's really like amazing. Like, it's a blessing that me and my brother were the ones chosen to like have this opportunity to be here, because our situation would have been way different if we were still there.
Yeah.
And
Do you know whatever happened to your mom? Like, did you ever find like contact with her or no?
I still talk to her.
You still okay?
We like, she calls me here and there. It's more so like, oh, like you guys left me, like kind of making me feel bad, even though I was just a kid.
Is she in Ghana?
She's in Liberia now.
Okay.
And we've
That's not
sent,
like you had anything to do with it.
I know.
It just kind of
And
happened to you guys.
We've sent money to her and stuff
Oh,
like
that's
that.
nice.
And we've, you know, again, like I can't choose who my mom is. It's not, you know, but I've been blessed to be here and have such an amazing opportunity.
Well, it sounds
Liberia.
like your stepmom though. You call her mom.
Oh,
now.
my stepmom's
Yeah.
my best friend. She's my homie.
Oh.
She's my girl. I love her.
That's so nice.
Like we're
Yeah.
really close.
Yeah.
And she's just very like caring, loving. Like
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
I mean, she's more of a mom to me than my mom was. And
it just sounds like your
it's-
other mom, like you were really young, but also that's still a good amount of time. Like I think about the time I'm with Noah, he's already 3. I feel like I've done so much, you know,
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
yeah. So she was kind of more absent. It just sounded like, you
Yeah.
know, and you couldn't really build as much maybe with her, but
Yep.
yeah.
we didn't get like build that connection.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It sounds like church and faith has played like a pretty large role in your lives and shaping how your lives have kind of turned out. When it comes to spirituality and faith, what kind of role does that play, or do you feel like that's played in your life and as a marriage?
Definitely everything that we, every big decision that we have, or I don't like anything that we needed to like think about. We always go to prayer. Like prayer has definitely played a big role for us, and just trusting God. Like kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, hey, we don't know what's gonna happen here, or oh, like this situation is tough or whatever. But we always know that, well, hey, God's kind of in control. You know, we gotta trust His plan. We'll be okay. And I mean, even like just for the decision of me to leave pest control my first summer to go and do Vivint, to go do alarms, it didn't make sense really if you look at it, because I'd already done pest. I was pretty good at it and had another opportunity to go, do pest again and stuff. But I remember like praying like really hard about it at the time and stuff like that. And at the time I didn't know this was, because of Yassah, but I really felt like my mind, like everything, like physically was like, okay, go do pest again. You already have experience there. But for some reason, it was just, I kept having the feeling, like, nope, you got to go do this. You got to go.
It's like those pivot moments. Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously like looking back, it all makes sense because, selling alarms wasn't the thing that we continued to do, or wasn't like, something that really like changed our lives or anything, but it was being in that situation that, obviously.
It just seems like you guys were guided to each other. Like it was like always going to be Brad. It was always going to be Yassah. Like such a cool story.
Well, and I was going to say too, like I've heard you guys say a couple different moments, like where you received a blessing about speaking another language, and like just little moments where they stand out to you. Right. And then even with your stepmom, like receiving her blessing and seeing that, in her life and recognizing this is what, is the next step for me. And I just think like, you have to always remember like those little touches and those little moments of like God's hand in, either your family's life or your life, and just being so grateful for the guidance, because like I'm sure all of us at times, you don't feel like you deserve the guidance or the love that sometimes you receive from God. But I just think to always remember those moments can always, help you just push forward. And like you said, trust in God and be grateful and I don't know, keep prayer in your life and all of these things. Cause I don't know, I feel like that's helped me a lot, just remembering, cause it's so easy to forget sometimes, and like block those things out. But when we can remember those big moments and maybe even just small moments, I think it's really special, you know? Yeah.
100% agree.
You guys are just so interesting to talk to.
Yeah.
Usually it's around an hour for us.
Yeah.
But this has been like a super easy conversation to have.
Yeah.
It's been interesting learning about you guys and your life, and I feel like I feel like we have a lot in common. There's so many things that are unique about each of us, but it's just cool. It's super cool to get to connect with you guys.
Absolutely.
We're happy to be here, honestly.
Yeah, we agree. It's been cool getting to know you guys too.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you guys are awesome. We should hang out.
I know.
We should.
Like,
Friends,
we're
right?
going to New England, right?
Seriously.
No.
Caitlin and I are team new friends. So
I love making new friends.
Yeah. We are so grateful that you guys decided to come on the podcast and to get to know you guys. Seems like we have some new friends now, Kate, which is cool.
Totally.
But if people wanted to connect with you, where could they find you online?
I think probably Instagram would be probably the easiest.
What are your guys' Instagram handles?
Yassah Lake 14.
Okay.
And mine's Brad Pierce 32.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Yassah and Brad. It was so good to meet you guys, and we really appreciate it. And just excited for hopefully in the future we can do some double dates or something. But
we would love that.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you
totally.
guys. Thanks for the questions.
Yeah.
It was a
thank you.
Good conversation.
Thanks for coming on, and welcome to the zoo.